All right, Elevation Nation. Elevation Nation Conversations. Elevation Nation Conversations. God Body Shine, I'm here. What's going on, y'all? Hit that like, share, subscribe button. Drop a comment in the comment section. We gonna stay consistent on y'all asses. I be busy, so I can't get on here like I want to. So hit that like, share, subscribe button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let's talk about it. Elevation Nation Conversations. I ran across this video of a young lady saying and talking about how her pastor tried to sleep with her. And the pastor was a friend of the family and all that, and she was younger or whatever, but it just made me realize and think of why a lot of in the black community, at least, a lot of brothers don't really like going to church, or we've checked out from going into the actual church for us to feel like we have a connection with God or our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, or whoever you want to worship. Because a lot of these pastors are in there, they're just pulpit pimping. A lot of them cater to the women. They know the women will follow a charismatic speaker, and they tend to be more spiritual, more religious than the men. So they go in there and they're fantasizing about the pastor, looking at the pastor, thinking, "I wish my husband was like that," or "I wish I could find a man like that that was as spiritual as the pastor, that was as eloquent speaking as the pastor." And little do they know the pastor's in there pimping and fucking them all. So let's listen to what this young girl is talking about, and I'll come back and let y'all know what I think. Hit that like, share, subscribe button, drop a comment in the comment section. I appreciate y'all. I'm here. Let's go.
Pastor tried to sleep with me. I do have to give you a backstory so you can understand the severity of this situation. This did not happen at my current church. This happened maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. For obvious reasons, I couldn't speak about it then. It's too fresh, and I honestly was going to keep it to myself, outside of anybody else that went to the church from finding out, especially his children. His wife is my mother's cousin. What does that make us? Cousins, I guess? Cousin-in-laws? I don't know. But he was family. I don't just mean like a mere relative. Like, this is someone who we went to the beach with, we would go out to eat with. His children were super close to me and my siblings. We were heavily in the church. So we saw him and his family all the time. So to dive a little deeper, my mom is a minister. So outside of whenever he would preach, let's say he had to go preach at another church, or maybe was out of town or was sick, that's when my mother would step in and she would preach in his place. We grew up in the church probably like 5 to 6 days a week, from choir rehearsal to praise dance to Bible study to church outside the walls. We even did Bible study outside of church, and she planted a very deep, heavy seed of faith into me and my siblings, her and my father. And I obviously thank God for that, because that is one of the main reasons why I was able to develop a real relationship with Jesus now. Suddenly, one day, we just up and left the church. This pastor met me when I was like 7, 8 years old. So he's known me since I was a little girl. He baptized me. Him and my father were at one point sort of kind of like best friends. I had to explain that part so you can see how sick he is. If there's anybody watching this video that knows me in real life and grew up with me, obviously you know what pastor that I'm talking about. I don't know how far this video is going to get.
I'm gonna let her continue in a minute, but that's that happens a lot in the Baptist community, the Catholic community. A lot of these pastors or rabbis and things like that, a lot of them are touching children or having urges, and they're not in their own good faith, pun intended. But this happens a lot, and it's definitely a big issue.
I don't know if this video is going to get a lot of views. I don't know. But in the event that it does, I'm not sorry for saying any of this at all. I do apologize to his children, because I know that this is probably the first time that you're hearing about this. I'm not going to say his name, obviously, or put any pictures or anything like that. Let's continue. Now that you have the backstory, again, This was like 4 or 5 years ago. At the time this happened, I was like 20 years old, and I'm 25 now. This was around the time where OF was getting really popular. It wasn't exactly popular yet for what it's known for, but it was around that time where it was getting there. When it comes to certain situations, I look at things for what they are and not what they are portrayed to be. Looking on there, of course, OF doesn't promote itself as that type of app. So when
if y'all don't know what she's talking about when she say OF, she's talking about OnlyFans. So OnlyFans is basically a site where you can upload content on there and people can pay to see it. But what happened during the pandemic was a lot of females, they started using it as like a porn site. So they'll go on there and they'll do pornography or porn, and they'll have people pay for it. I don't know why people are paying for it when you can go see a shit for free. You know what I mean? If that's your thing. But a lot of them would jump on there and they were making money too. I mean, making hundreds of thousands and millions sometimes from simp dudes, thirsty dudes getting on there paying for content. So that's what she basically saying. So she's basically saying she was on OnlyFans. Now I don't know if she was doing adult content or what, but we'll get to that part of the story. But she was on OnlyFans, and I guess she gonna say that her pastor found her on OnlyFans. So let's see what she's talking about.
I made it. This was around the time I was heavily chasing my music career. If you know me, you know I used to rap and sing and all of that stuff, and I was heavily trying to pursue being a rapper and a singer. I was deep into my music career, like really trying to thrive and make a living off of it. When I saw OF, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is a perfect outlet to put all of my behind the scenes content on here, exclusive music videos, photo shoots never before seen.
I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt, but I think she's lying. If you're trying to start a music career, you trying to do your music career, you don't have fans. You ain't got no fans yet for them to pay to come see your music videos or to see your content or to see any of that. So she was on there being delusional. I don't know why everybody want to be a rapper or a singer. Like that's the easiest outlet or the only route to go, and it's not easy. Too many people think it's easy doing music or going that direction, and it's not. So she was trying to be on OnlyFans, I guess, to release music and stuff like that to her fans, but she had no fans because she wasn't even an artist yet. So that's wild.
Photos or unedited photos from my photo shoots. I had this whole big plan to put all of that stuff that I didn't normally share with my supporters or my Instagram followers on there. That is what I was using OF for. I promise you, that was it, and that was all. So on my Facebook, only my family is on there. There may be a few of my friends or associates or people I went to high school with, but for the most part, it was only like family members. I posted the OF link on there, and I specifically put in the caption what was on there. So just thinking about that, even if I was doing that type of OF content, why on God's green earth would I post it on Facebook for my entire family to see? If I was doing that type of content, obviously I'm not going to put it on Facebook. I get this Facebook message from my pastor. He's like, oh, like, wow, like you have an OF. And I was like, yeah, you know, I'm posting all of my music videos. I had a music video that I had just shot.
And that's one of the main reasons why I stay off of Facebook. Facebook ain't nothing nice. You got a lot of nonsense, a lot of gossip, a lot of crazy shit going on over there. And I stay off of Facebook. Facebook, I'm cool on that. I'm not even on Instagram like that. No.
That I didn't release yet. I was giving like my supporters and like my family and stuff a first look at that music video. None of my music videos were explicit or anything. Yes, I was definitely cursing and stuff, but none of my music videos had nothing crazy in it. So then I get a new subscriber. My family, they're really, really good about supporting my music. This was not uncommon. I didn't find this weird. I was actually like, oh my gosh, I'm getting another subscriber. There was only like 5 things on there. The music video and like the behind the scenes of that music video. So he liked all of them. And then he inboxed me and he's like, oh, I have a question. And I was like, yeah, what's up? And he was like, is this the only content that you post on there? And I was like, well, that's all the content I have on there for now. I'm getting ready to post some other behind the scenes from this other photo shoot that I just did. So I don't know when I'm gonna upload it, but I'm gonna upload that on there soon. Then I'm also shooting another music video soon, and that's gonna be up there as well. So I told him that, and he was like, "Oh, okay, that's it, LOL." And I was like, "Yeah." Mind you, I did not know that OF was turning into a P app. I was completely oblivious to it, and not only that, it was still on the rise. Like, it wasn't predominantly that yet, and if it was, I had no clue.
I don't believe that. I think she capping. I think she lying. Everybody know what OnlyFans for. That's what most people found out about OnlyFans for, was the sexual content. Not for music, not for people going to want to support your art and all that shit. That's bullshit. I don't believe that's cap.
Because I'm not into that type of stuff. I'm reading his message like, yeah, that's it. Like, what do you mean? I'm thinking he's about to give suggestions about other type of music content that I could put on there or something like that. But he comes out and say like, oh, you ever thought about doing any other type of content for it? And I was like, any other type of content like what? At this point, I'm starting to say, surely he's not talking about that. Surely he's not talking about that. There's no way he's talking about that. So I'm just in denial right now because, like I said, he is in the family. This man watched me grow up, and my siblings, and him and my daddy at one point was like this. Also, like I said, we did up and stop going to this church out of nowhere, and we joined a different church. My parents, they never told us why. They never told us what happened. We kind of knew something happened, but they never told us why we stopped going. Remember that? Because it's going to be important later. It was like, LOL, you know what content I'm talking about. Nobody wants to see the content that you have on there now. Like, who's going to subscribe to see that? So I'm like, I didn't know how to respond, but at the same time, I didn't want to run with a narrative where I think he's talking about something and maybe he's not. So I didn't accuse him of anything. I just left the message alone. I didn't respond to it. Then he double texted me like an hour later, and he said, oh, I could pay you for the type of content that I want to see. Right there, I'm like, he's definitely talking about what I think he's talking about. I still wasn't running with it because I didn't have proof. He didn't come out and say that. And if anything got out, I knew that he could deny it. Back then, the church folk that he had surrounding him were like die-hard churchgoers who would back him up to the ends of the earth. If I ever would have came out with this, I would have had to have severe, concrete audio and video proof of this. That's how deep they was going for him. Like, what type of content are you talking about? And then he says, I want to see you naked. Literally said, did you mean to send me this? And he was like, yeah, LOL. And I was like, do you know who this is? This is Blank's daughter. I said my father's name. He was like, yeah, I know who this is. I know who this is, LOL. Like, I just want to see some content of X, Y, and Z. He then started being descriptive with the type of content he wanted to see and even made an offer to see me in person. And so I was like, so you know that this is Blank's daughter? And he says, yeah. And I was like, this is Shawnee, like little Shawnee. And he was like, yeah, I know you is. You ain't no little girl no more, LOL. I immediately called my father. Immediately called my parents. And when I got them on the phone, I was crying. Because I'm like, there's just no way that this man who's supposed to be family, who literally saw me grow up, like, dude, like, you baptized me and my siblings. You were in my house. I used to spend the night at his house with his daughter. I'm like, wow, like, you really is a creep. Both of my parents was livid, but they also had this side in their voice where they weren't surprised. It's like, why kind of sound like y'all not that surprised? Like, of course they was extremely mad, but they wasn't that, like, surprised. We're still talking on the phone, and I go back to the messages because I'm like, oh, nah, I need to show them proof. Of course, the messages are gone. All you see is everything he ever said unsent. I had no proof, but of course, my daddy and my parents, you know, they believed me, of course. They're not those type of parents. They believed me.
That's crazy. I definitely believe the young lady. There's a lot of creeps in the church. A lot of creeps who just run around in society. All that. So parents, you definitely got to watch your kids. Definitely got to keep an eye on them and keep an eye on who you letting around your kids. But yeah, let me know what y'all think about this. What would you guys have did if that was your daughter and the pastor that I guess was a friend of the family that you know, and he was actually trying to get at your daughter? So let me know what y'all think about it. Elevation Nation Conversations, God Body Shine. I appreciate y'all. I'll tap in, check y'all on the next one. Peace.
I'm winning. I'm winning. I'm winning. I'm winning. I'm winning. I'm winning.
Elevation Nation Conversations, God Body Shine.